Applebee's 2 for $20. Now that's eating good in the neighborhood.
Life is for living. And at First International Bank and Trust, we're all about living, helping your dreams come true. Because we're not just in the banking business. We're in the first home business, the community sponsorship business, the how do I make this happen business, making your banking life easy so you can focus on what matters most. First International Bank and Trust. Live first.
A family farm is, well, different. The cab of a tractor is the CEO's office. Board meetings are held on the bed of Grandpa's pickup. And a conference call is a holler across the yard. To hurry your chores, kids, there's homework to be done. A family farm is about family pride as much as profit. Farmers Union Insurance believes this way of life is worth protecting. Because this isn't just where we work, it's also our family's home. Farmers Union Insurance, simply different.
The Minot Minotauros 10-year jerseys are so cool, everybody wants one. And when we say everybody, we mean everybody.
Hank, you stealing your jersey? Whoa! Oh! Oh boy. Yeah, I know. It should be a good game tonight. Yes, sir.
Don't be a bird brain. Get your Tauros gear the right way. Go to MinotaurosHockey.com and click on Online Store. From there, you can shop for jerseys, hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and more, all from the comfort of your own home. So go to GoTauros.com and click on the Online Store today.
Oh my.
Coming to you from the Bonfire Studios North, it's another episode of Tauros Weekly. I'm your host, Peter Theodos. As always, to my right is Mr. Ken Oda. Change it up a little bit there, Ken.
Yeah.
And, we're just going to jump right into it. Boys, we're back on the ice. First time in 27 days.
27-day layoff, and I hate to say it, but it looked like it on Friday night.
We're not going to talk about Friday. We'll talk about Saturday. Saturday was actually a really good game.
Yeah.
It was close. Started a little rough.
The empty netter at the end makes it look a little more lopsided than it was, but you don't want to talk about Friday. I will say, for fans who didn't realize, there was a long layoff. Aberdeen had played the week before. They kind of got their legs back under them, and it was a challenge, I think.
Yeah.
And Aberdeen's a very good team. They'll do that to you. They'll, if you look around, either scoring almost 6 goals a game, they're giving up like a goal and a half a game. They're a really good team. So, if you're not 100% ready to go, which I think a lot of our guys weren't after that long layoff, that's what's going to happen to you against a good team like Aberdeen.
But I will tell you, on Saturday, it was a great game. Our boys honestly looked really good. And you saw certain instances in that game where Aberdeen kind of looked like they were on their heels for a bunch of...
I thought the second period really belonged to us. The first period was probably more towards Aberdeen. And the third period, I think, once they got that their third goal to take the lead and just kind of clamp down a little bit. They're very good at doing that. They're very good at running out the clock and really not letting you get back into games once they get a lead.
Yeah.
I think, over the last 3 years, I don't think I've seen anyone better at any level of hockey at playing with a lead than Aberdeen. So, it was hard to come back on those guys, and we didn't. Of course, we took the loss, and for the first weekend of the season, we didn't get at least a point in a game. Every other game this year, we had gotten at least a point. So, not you're going to lose a few, and losing them to Aberdeen in that situation where, almost a full month off the ice, you never want to lose to. You don't want to lose. Especially don't ever want to lose to Aberdeen, but I think given the circumstances, a good weekend to get the legs back under them and get ready for what's going to be a
6-point weekend.
A busier stretch than we thought it was going to be maybe when the schedule came out. We've got a lot of hockey coming up here over the next few weeks.
And we're going to touch on that now is tomorrow night, the reason why we were doing Tauros Weekly on Tuesday is the team goes to Bismarck tomorrow.
Yep.
Obviously, Thanksgiving's on Thursday. Friday, the team is back on the Pepsi rink.
Yes.
And we now have some tickets available.
Yes.
Head over to, I always get this wrong.
Tickets.
I was going with that one.
Yep. Or you can just go to gotauros.com. There's a banner right on the front page to buy individual game tickets. A very limited block of tickets. Season ticket holders who have told us they're not coming. We've put a very limited block of tickets available to non-season ticket holders. Last weekend, it was only season ticket holders. A huge thank you to First District Health Unit, the Governor's Office, and the Minot Park District for letting us put a small block of tickets for sale this weekend. Our attendance cap is 600. We were under 300 both games this weekend, so we're selling a very limited block of tickets. If you want to come to the game this Friday, get on there, get the tickets before they're gone. It's a very small block.
We were actually looking at sales, and we've already sold.
Yeah. Some of that block is already gone. So get on there, tickets.minotauroshockey.com. Get to the games this weekend.
Tauros families.
Yes.
We do have tickets set aside for you guys.
Yes, lots of players' families with the holiday coming to town. So we do
our gift to them, kind
We
of.
do have tickets set aside for player families as well. In fact, I specifically want to thank Al and Fern Olson who came in. They gave their tickets specifically to go to a player's family. So we've had a few season ticket holders do that as well, say that they wanted to make sure that if they weren't coming, that their tickets went to player families. We've got player family tickets set aside for all the player families coming in, so we don't need any more to fill that group. They're all the players' families who are coming to town this weekend will get in. And that may include your family.
It may, yes.
Even though you're not a player, you've got some family in town as well, so hopefully they'll come out. But we're excited to be back on the ice. We're excited to get some fans in the building. I think that's one of the things that makes Minot unique is the fan support we get here, the home ice advantage we get when that place is packed. Obviously, it won't be packed, but hopefully we'll get closer to that 600 limit, and our fans. It was even with only 259 people.
Loud.
It was pretty loud in there on Saturday night.
And let's talk about that. Let's also bring in our first guest. He ended up playing for Bismarck last year.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. And making Tauros Weekly history as being one of the 2 first-round picks that we've had on the show. So fans, let's welcome Blaine Warnert to Tauros Weekly. Blaine, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Let's just get a little bit about who you are to kind of just fill in the fans, just a little background history so we know who you are.
Yeah, so my name's Blaine Warnert. I'm from Chaska, Minnesota, and I grew up playing high school hockey in Minnesota, and then from there last year I played in Des Moines, and then now this year I'm here and excited to be with the Tauros.
We were just talking about it before we brought you in here, the home ice advantage. You've been on the other side of that. 2 years ago, you came with the Bobcats to that playoff series, and not to rub it in too much, but the Tauros swept the Bobcats that year. Mm-hmm. You're now on what we like to call the right side of the rivalry. How different is it, playing in the Pepsi rink as an opponent versus playing as the home team?
Yeah, well, I only did it like once or twice, but I remember that one game was super tough. The fans were super loud and everything, and there's actually like a big scruffle after the game that happened in between the fans and stuff like that. So yeah, the fans for sure bring it every night, and it's for sure not fun being on the other side of the Toro fans.
What was your first reaction, having been a former Bobcat, to being drafted by the Tauros, as we mentioned in the first round?
Yeah, well, I was obviously super excited. It's a great place to be. Obviously, they got premier facilities and stuff like that. So I was obviously super pumped to be drafted to here.
Why don't you talk a little bit about the differences between here in Minot and then in Bismarck? What's the difference between kind of the operational side, the facility side, and the management side?
Yeah, well, I mean, everything seems a little better here in Minot, to be honest with you. The facilities are obviously nicer, and obviously everything around here is just a great place to be around here in Minot, which is nice when there's a great city to be in.
Now, you got one weekend under your belt. I imagine from your time with the Bobcats, you already disliked Aberdeen, but now you're getting to face the Bobcats on the ice. Any extra motivation going in, facing your former team? A couple guys still there. Head coach Lane said he's still there, so a lot of familiar faces, I imagine.
Yeah, there's for sure some people that I know over there, and so there's obviously added motivation to beat them, but that's just like any team in this conference. You always know people on there, and just like Aberdeen, you want to win every night, so there's always kind of a little bit of a more, I don't know, just like hyped up to play, I guess.
Yeah.
Have you played, obviously being from Minnesota, and a lot of people in the Central Division are from Minnesota. So when you're playing against an Aberdeen, a St. Cloud, a Bismarck, and you see someone that you may have played against at a younger age, is there any like extra motivation to, maybe hit them a little harder, give them a little cheap shot here or there?
How much do those rivalries from youth and high school carry over to the NA?
They for sure do. I mean, you grow up playing against these kids all the time, and even though you guys are playing for different teams and stuff like that, you're always going to have those little games that they beat you in or something like that for motivation. So there's always just great rivalries between just Minnesota high school, and that kind of carries over to juniors, I would say.
We talked about in our little intro there about the challenge of having been off for 27 days and playing. Now going into this weekend, you had that long break without games, and now we're jumping into 3 games in 4 days coming off of a weekend back. I think that it'll give us 5 games in like 8 days or something. Do you think fatigue will become an issue for this group at any point?
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I'm sure there'll be a little bit of fatigue, but just from that long break and everything like that. But I think it's just great to be playing a lot of games because that's what we need. You try to emulate game pace and stuff like that in practice, but it's never really the same until you're actually playing a game. So I think getting these 2 games this past weekend out of the way and these next 3 is really going to get us on a roll.
You mentioned the next 3, 6 points on the table. You experienced a little bit with that playoff run with Bismarck 2 years ago. Even though it is November and it's still early in the year, with everything that's going on, whether it's COVID related, whether it's just hockey related, how big is it that these points are on the table, and how important is it to get at least 4, maybe 5 of these points?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, you gotta put points up on the board and stuff like that, and this weekend's going to be huge for us. 6 points means a lot in the future and stuff like that for playoff runs. You never know what's going to happen with everything with COVID and stuff like that. So, yeah, these 6 points are going to be huge this weekend, and we're going to pull it off, I hope.
You mentioned earlier that you played for Des Moines USHL. You started the year there as well. What is that challenge like, joining a team late, not having been in Minot for training camp, coming back down to the NA and having to integrate with a group that's been together for several weeks before you got here?
I mean, yeah, I think the guys have been great and everything, but I think kind of just the system part is a little hard to get right back into. I mean, you're running different systems at different teams and stuff like that, and also just the people you're playing with, playing with people for a year or even a month or so, you kind of know like what they're going to do in a situation, or you kind of have more of an idea. So it's kind of hard to just jump right into it, and but just playing and stuff like that is how you're going to learn.
Do you think in that regard maybe the layoff actually helped? You got here and had a couple of weeks before an actual game, so it was kind of like a mini training camp for you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it never hurts, but at the end of the day, we just want to play and stuff like that, so it's huge that we get these 3 games this week.
Thanksgiving coming up, obviously a big American holiday. You're being from Minnesota with a couple of the Canadians and talking with everyone today. What is your favorite Thanksgiving tradition, whether it's when you've been away playing hockey or that you had growing up as a kid at your parents' house?
Yeah, well, growing up as a kid, my favorite Thanksgiving tradition, I mean, honestly, until my senior year of high school, we'd always spend it with my cousins, and that was kind of my favorite Thanksgiving tradition. You'd see all your cousins, all your family members, and kind of catch up with everyone and spend a great holiday with them. So that was kind of my favorite Thanksgiving tradition growing up.
Ideal plate of Thanksgiving food. So you walk up, there's a buffet of food. You got one plate. What do you put on it?
I mean, you got to put turkey, obviously, mashed potatoes and gravy, stuffing, corn, some green beans, and that's about the ideal plate for me.
All right, you get down to the dessert line. What are you grabbing?
Have to go apple pie first overall.
Pie. Okay, all right. Well, that's going to do it for Blaine. Blaine, thanks for coming on the show, and best of luck these next 3 games.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for having me.
Yep. That's supplemental round.
Supplemental
draft, first round pick, Blaine Warnert. So
I'm going to put you on the spot while we swap out guests and wait for Max to grab his seat. Same question to you. You settle up next to the buffet at Thanksgiving. What are you throwing on your plate?
Gotta go turkey. Love the turkey. Mom makes some homemade sweet potatoes. They're really good. Homemade stuffing. Probably a little bit of green bean casserole. Not a big green bean casserole. Love green beans. Not a big green bean casserole, but I'll eat it. Mashed potatoes, dinner roll. And then I'm actually one of those people that I might get some flack for it, but I go both apple and pumpkin because they're just both so good, and I can't decide which one I want.
See, that's always the nightmare for me, having a cinnamon allergy.
Yeah.
Either one is just a nightmare for me. Doesn't stop me, but, I always have to wait till a little bit later in the night before I hit the pie. Otherwise, I have to deal with the hives and the breakout and all that stuff.
All right, so we're going to bring in our entry-level draft, first overall, well, not first overall, but our first overall pick, Max Bogdanovich. Max, welcome to the show. It's actually your second time, your first time in person. Yep. Really short walk for you also, as this is your billet house. So why don't you tell the fans a little bit about yourself and kind of inform them who you are?
Yeah, so like you said, my name is Max Bogdanovich. I'm from Scarborough, Maine. 19 years old, and it's really, really good being out here for the Minotauros and everything like that. From Scarborough, like I said, and yeah.
So when you first got here, not gonna lie, I saw you standing next to your dad, and you were kind of both with your backs to me, and I couldn't tell who was Max and who was the dad. Like you're a big kid, right. 6'3", 230, 229, whatever, listed on the website. Is being a bigger player, is there anybody you kind of model your game after?
Probably David Backus, I'd have to say. Big power guy, always getting it deep, always working hard, always going 100%. Probably that's who would have to model my game after, 100%, absolutely.
You made your Tauros debut this weekend as well, just like Blaine did, and yours was for a different reason. You were out recovering a little bit, so you didn't get to jump in right away. How did it feel just to get those first junior games?
To be honest, coming back from that surgery, I dealt with it probably for 2 years prior to the surgery. So it was one of those things where even without hockey, it was just good to actually feel like a human again, be able to walk right and things like that. So actually when I came here and skated really for the first time, after finishing recovery, an up-pace practice per se, I was just amazed of, how much more power I had and how much better I felt, how much I could move, more laterally, things like that. It was just, very, very different, and I was just so happy. So,
what was the process like in working with trainer Kevin Melby on? Because being an athlete, I know exactly. Yep. You're healthy. You want to go full speed like that. You want to be lifting all the weights, going full speed. How did he kind of slowly calm you down and on-ramp you in so you didn't re-injure yourself?
So when I first got here, I was still in the rehab process. I got here, with like a week left of still physical therapy. So we did, slowly skated, didn't push it. Obviously me being out there, I'd fly around maybe a little more than I should have, but he's been really, the only reason why I've gotten better right now while I'm here. He's been phenomenal. He works on me every single day. Off ice stuff, I'll go in early. He'll meet me just there, just for me. He's done absolutely everything, setting up doctor's appointments, things like that. And, this past week, I've finally got my feet under me to where I say I am 100% and ready to go, pain-free.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
How hard was it to sit and watch as games were going?
It was painful. It was painful.
And then how good did it feel to finally get out there this weekend?
There's just, like you said, sitting at home watching the game, then I'm finally here. Words can't describe it, finally.
Obviously a tough weekend, didn't get the results we wanted. Integrating into the new team, all the guys coming off the layoff, it was obviously a challenge. This weekend presents a new challenge, 3 games in 4 nights.
Yep.
Do you feel like you're ready for that? And
Absolutely.
Do you feel like the guys are as well?
Absolutely. Me, myself, yes, I'm ready for whatever comes at me this season. Finally where I need to be, like I said, with my surgery and recovery, things like that. Good to go. But as a team, in the locker room, the way we've been practicing, definitely. Yeah. I think, kind of this weekend, coming off the break, like you guys said, was not really a wake-up call, but...
It was a little humbling, though.
Right.
So, having gotten a point in every game we had played up until this weekend, did you feel, did the mood in the room change? You've been here for a while now. Did it seem to affect the group at all, taking those losses?
Yeah, it was definitely very quiet after, and I think a lot of guys kind of, woke up and realized, all right, it's go time again. It's not break anymore.
You're committed to Maine.
Yep.
You're from Maine. I imagine that was part of the draw of committing there. And,
Yep.
and what do you plan on studying while you're in college?
Marine biology. That's what I'm going to be hopefully studying.
Speaking of marine biology, found out actually today that you own a fishing boat.
I do.
And you make a little extra money with that boat. So why don't you just kind of explain what you do?
Yeah, so being from Maine, obviously everyone knows Maine for its lobsters and moose. But so in the summertime, I live on an island in Portland off the coast. It's Great Diamond Island. And I think I was 11 years old when I first got my lobster license and went out with a guy named Ted Weber. And he showed me how to lobster and then worked my way slowly up. Got my own boat, and then I fished for lobster off of that. Do 150 traps, and then I do tuna fishing too. Tuna fishing, I've kind of slowly worked my way into, and now that's what I'm mostly going to do full time is tuna fishing.
Is that what you want to kind of do with your degree, is start your own fishing company?
Along those lines, I just want to stay connected to the ocean. I've been back and forth between a type of engineering program. I don't know what I would do in engineering, but I've always been like a hands-on, type of person, things like that. But marine science, I picked that mainly because, stay connected with the ocean.
So how hard is it for you to be, so far inland now? Has that been an adjustment for you?
Honestly, I like it out here. It's a change, but at the same time, being from Maine, it's kind of similar.
Okay.
Just without the water.
Kind of like the weather,
right.
that.
The weather, the land for the most part, except for here it's fields, and in Maine it's trees.
Sure.
So.
You don't have to give us. This is mostly from my personal interest, and you can kind of just round it. But
yeah,
how much would you sell a lobster and a tuna for?
So it all depends on the market for tuna. Lobster, I think this summer it was probably, from me to sell it to the wholesaler, I think it was like $4 a pound we were getting at the best. And then for tuna, I think the best I got was like 5,000 or 6,000 per fish.
What?
Unreal.
That's a pretty nice penny to add to your pocket there.
Bruce, super fan Bruce Hoffert says we need to take you ice fishing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd
love to do that. We do that back home all the time.
You
Sean says no.
I've never been any type of fishing in my life, so
I've been fishing a couple times.
Yeah, but last thing before we let you go, might be a little different given the seafood connection.
Yeah.
But what's your ideal plate of Thanksgiving food?
So back home, we're a big Italian family. We actually have ravioli. We do have a turkey though.
Okay.
So ever since a little kid, we've had ravioli, turkey, cranberry sauce, corn, and green beans.
Okay.
Apple or pumpkin?
Apple.
All right, that makes sense.
Apple.
Max, thanks for coming on the
Thank
show.
you very much for having me.
You know, if you ever get an extra tuna, I wouldn't mind some fillets.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fans, that's Max Bogdanovich. You put me on the spot. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Well, similar to Max, coming from a little bit of an ethnic family, being my dad's side of the family is Japanese. Our Thanksgiving is a very weird mix. My mom's Irish Catholic, so we get the turkey, the mashed potatoes, the stuffing, but then we also have wontons and rice.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a fun mix, and that's my uncle and I every Thanksgiving used to have Thanksgiving and Christmas after everyone was done eating. My grandma would always make way too much rice, so we would have these just epic rice eating contests. We'd eat like 6-7 bowls of rice after all the other food was eaten. So that's probably my go-to for Thanksgiving. And then, like I said, I'm allergic to cinnamon, so apple pie is my absolute favorite. But
you can't have it.
I have a little bit, but I can't indulge the way I would like to.
Is it as bad as The Rock from The Game Plan, where he eats the cookies and he has to go into the huddle?
I haven't seen the movie.
You haven't seen it?
But,
it's a great movie.
I will say I need to thank Victoria. She has figured out a way to make apple pie with something other than cinnamon that tastes just like apple pie, and it is amazing. We made an apple pie for breakfast on Sunday. So, apple pie for us.
Probably should have done this at the beginning of the show, but Helen's on once again checking in and wishing us a happy and blessed Thanksgiving.
Garnet Rancier.
Paul Zilkowski is along with Susan. Wally Mock checking in.
Toro alum Jaden Martin on board.
Heck yeah. Well, good to see you, Jaden. And then Joyce Hill says, good job, Max. Joyce Hill? Yeah, back home in Maine. That's what Max says. All right, that's going to do it for another episode here on Tauros Weekly.
Remember, tickets for Friday, a very limited amount available. So if you want to come to the game Friday night, watch us take on Bismarck, get on there and get your tickets
Capital
now.
City Kitties.
Yep, before they're gone, because there's not many. There's less than 100 tickets in that block. So if you are planning to come to the game on Friday, get your tickets before they are gone.
We'll be on the air tomorrow in Bismarck at 7 for the Bobcats and the Tauros from the capital city.
Yep.
But from all of us here at Tauros Weekly, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Don't eat too much food. And make sure you get out to cheer on the Tauros on Friday. For Sean Bachoven, that's Ken Oda. I'm Peter Theodos. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next week on Wednesday.